Alright guys, what's up? I'm back. I know Bill's been doing vids and I haven't. Basically I've been moving and now I'm in my new place, so vids will happen a lot more often. Where to begin? I think Bill is dead on right about TNA. We're both very frustrated with TNA. The thing is that people think that we're just trying to be like loyal to one company and not another. The bottom line is we're loyal to whoever brings it. I mean, WWE hasn't brought it for years, and nor do they ever in the past couple of years. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I have my own eyes. I can see what I see, and I know that they don't bring it. I watch Raw, and, I'll DVR it, and I barely can make it through the whole show. But TNA, I mean, there's good and bad with TNA, but the problem is there's too much bad. Like Bill is saying, that we've got Kevin Nash, squashing Samoa Joe. And it's just a joke. I mean, there's so many people that are longtime fans that are still fans of this guy. And I just want to tell you right now, the guy's a joke. The guy has always been a joke. You've been a victim of marketing if you've ever fell to be a Kevin Nash fan. The guy can barely walk in the ring right now. He's on his knees. He looks like Moses. I mean, he just needs to go away. And, Scott Hall needs to go away. These guys are a bunch of jokes. The NWO was a awesome stable at first, and when you say you're NWO for life, if you still claim you're NWO for life, then you need to get a life, because the NWO was a gimmick, and it was a gimmick that brought a company to a certain point, but it also brought that company down here too. So you can claim NWO. I don't want another NWO. I don't care what the main event mafia is all about, And the thing that bothers me about the main event mafia is you've got guys that can really go in the ring, and then you've got guys that can't, and they're a mix, and they're supposed to be like peers of each other. It's just a joke. I do want to give props to Sting, though. The guy in WCW, he never really displayed his mic skills, and very rarely do you come into the business as a certain figure and even do better than what you did back then. And I think Sting either has done better or just as good being in TNA. You don't watch Sting and you're just like, man, that guy's just diminished so bad. You watch Sting and you're still like blown away by some of the things he says. I mean, when that guy talks on the mic, you listen. It's amazing. But there's so many leaks and cracks in the TNA writing system. It's disgusting. And maybe there always has been in a lot of ways, but me and Bill were very forgiving because they were so good in the ring. But when they're starting to lose that ability now too, when only, out of 8 matches on a pay-per-view, only 3 or 4 are delivering, you start to realize that, something's severely wrong here. If you listen to Kurt Angle's interviews, he's really dead on when he wants to push the X Division guys and, put over other guys and all this stuff. But he also says he clashes with Jeff Jarrett a lot. And I really have a feeling that Jeff Jarrett is responsible for a lot of this corniness that's been going on. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Society has changed, The thing that really frustrates me with the wrestling business, though, is that so many people have so many different opinions. So how do you market towards something? I mean, there's somebody that watches TNA just because they want to see Super Eric. And there's some people that watch TNA just because they want to see the beautiful people. And then there's people like Bill and me, that all we want to do is see amazing wrestling with the best athletes in the world and great promos, And there's some people that only want to see corny storylines that are completely unbelievable, and there's some people that want to see nothing but realistic storylines, It's so hard to determine, what goes on. But I just feel like pro wrestling in general knows they're losing to MMA. They know they're losing to anything serious, boxing, anything, and they try to go to a completely different realm of like retardedness to get to the other fans to say, look, we're totally different. Screw that. If you were more like MMA, if you were more like boxing, you can determine whatever you want to do. So be more serious with your storylines. Do countdown shows. Do 24/7s. Make it like this is really important. Because the bottom line is when people have watched the business and been exposed, it hasn't really hurt it. It's been amazing. Like, I remember Bite This, and they were doing Triple H and Shawn Michaels Bite This before their match at SummerSlam. And it was flat out just Shawn and Triple talking about the preparation of the match. Nothing to do with, you know, I'm going to kill this guy thinks that he's going to come back in it. No, it's, I'm kind of nervous about the match. You know, Shawn hasn't been in this match for, you know, in a ring in 5 years or 4 years or whatever it was. And then Shawn talks about how his training's been going and stuff. And I was so pumped up for the match, knowing that Shawn was taking this very seriously, that Hunter was taking this very seriously. You know, that's what I miss. I miss stuff like that. I like when you expose the business, because the business itself has been exposed, and then you're trying to put the sheet over our eyes again and say, no, 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 no. Look, it's already a done deal. The business is exposed, so you need to realize how to market it after it's been exposed, okay? You know, doing a whole bunch of cheesy, corny characters just doesn't cut it. And, you know, I'm not necessarily a big agreement that the X Division is the saving grace in TNA. I just feel like you've got to get people to care about the guys. You've got to do that. You know, and that's what 24/7 has done. That's what countdown shows do. Because when that fight comes, you care so much about the guy that you're rooting for, because you know how important this fight is. I mean, Roy Jones and Calzaghe, man, my heart was bleeding on the floor for Roy Jones Jr. I mean, every punch I felt, and every time that he would throw a punch, I had a little ray of hope. I mean, I cared so much. I wanted him to beat Calzaghe so bad. It's like that when Tito fights. It's like that when Rampage fights. You know, you need to care about these fighters. And even in pro wrestling, yes, it is scripted, and yes, it's more of a team effort, so you really don't care. If you really understand the business, you really don't care who wins or loses a lot of the time. But you do want to see both guys succeed. You do want both guys to go back in that locker room and be proud of what they've done, and not be, you know, going to do a match just because of a stupid storyline. You know, I love the effort. You know, ROH brings out the effort, but you can't display it on TV. So what is the point? It's like wasted effort. You see the pay-per-view results, you know, freaking 3 months ago, and then you're just like, oh, ROH, cool, you know, but you don't get to follow the storyline. And in TNA, you get to follow the storyline, and there's so many different crap that they're doing all over the place, it's so hard to follow, you know, and it's mainly now brought about by the main eventers. But there's so many people that say, well, let's go back to 2005, but think about that, okay? Yes, 2005 was amazing, especially with the X Division with Joe and Daniels and AJ, but they didn't have to worry about putting Kurt Angle on TV. They didn't have to worry about Booker T. They didn't have to worry about giving Sting TV time. I mean, you can't have these guys in your company and not give you TV time. So, I mean, I think they're just at a huge crossroads of what to do, you know, and I really, you know, I have an idea of what to do, but the problem is, like I said, the pro wrestling fan itself needs to be re-educated. Because one thing that really bothered me about the WWE is they went from like totally exposing the business, totally bringing it to a different realm, totally going a different direction, to going back to like the 1980s and making it out like it's just some kiddie game again, you know, and marketing Cena like there is this new Hulk Hogan, and just, you know, it's just cheesiness, you know. And some things I see on Raw, I'm just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And SmackDown too. I mean, just terrible stuff. And I'm baffled. I'm baffled that the pro wrestling business has gotten this bad. You know, yes, we are going to WrestleMania. And the main reason we're going to WrestleMania is because we hear it might be Shawn Michaels' last match. It's probably going to be Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. You know, we've never been to a WrestleMania, so it's just one of those things you just got to cross off the list. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm looking forward to it, but again, I'm not, because the WWE disgusts me, and it's not the same that it used to be.